What's up, guys? I'm going to talk about job hopping. And from what I think it's a good thing to do. Like, if you want to get better pay, I wouldn't always trust the company that you're working at telling you that you'll get a raise in a certain amount of time and you'll get promoted, you'll do this and that, right? Because not a lot of them are trustworthy, you know? And if you job hop and you find a better paying job, you basically got a raise just by doing that, you know? I think staying at a place for too long can not always be a good thing. Unless they give you promises and they give you promotions and they give you a good wage and it helps pay the bills, you save money and all that, right? That's the only time it's good to be loyal to a company. But I think it's also best to job hop one. You're working at a job that is toxic. The coworkers are hard to get along with. They're hotheads. They talk smack behind your back. Or they're hostile. They're passive aggressive. They want to try to start something with you. They want to see you react, and they want to see you act a fool at the job, you know? I think it's best to job hop then, too. To find a better work environment that's tolerable. Because if you keep staying at a job that's toxic, it's just going to ruin your mental health. You're going to burn out. You're going to be more depressed, you know? I mean, I basically job top this construction job. Yeah, it paid a decent amount of money, but it was not good for my mental health and not good for my bipolar. So I quit this job, and the next day I called the other job, and it pays the same, but it won't pay as much because it won't give me as much overtime. But that's okay though, because I don't want to work so many hours in a day. I don't want to mess with my bipolar anymore, because my mental health is my wealth, you know, because when I work these type of jobs, I get worse, and I can get an episode, I can get in trouble, I can get mad at these coworkers, you know? I get stressed out and all this shit. So it was good that I did that. Thing is, it's not easy finding that right job that pays more, or even more difficult trying to find that right environment for you, because you never know until you work there, right? So another thing is, I think it's best to wait until you find the job. Then I guess you can give these people a notice if you want to. Then you can go, you know? But if you have a hard time staying at a job, try to tweak your resume if you can. Because I think most companies don't call the previous employers that you worked at. That's from my experience. I quit many jobs. I got fired at a couple of them. I would tweak my resume. I wouldn't even put the jobs that I worked at and put them on my resume that gave me trouble. I would add those responsibilities on some other companies I worked at, you know? And I guess, you know, I was kind of lucky that they didn't call, you know, because some of them do call your employer, you know? I actually had that when I was almost about to work at a warehouse. they saw I had a gap in my resume, and they were questioning me about my work history, and they were about to call my employers, and I knew that I didn't want that job, you know. But most jobs that I worked at, and I got new ones, they never really cared about that, you know. Because I think it's because they're mostly entry level or low skilled jobs, you know. They wouldn't care as much compared to a high skilled job, you know. Maybe they wouldn't care as much with a high skill if you're very good at something, but you know. I think it's good to job hop though. I guess the only problem is if you job hop all the time, you would have a gap on your resume. But you just want to play it smart. You don't want to do it all the time. You know, you only do it when it's necessary. You want to do it when you see the opportunity that you'll get better pay instead of staying loyal and they haven't been promising you stuff. Or you want to, like I said before, you want to get a better work environment so your mental clarity would be better. You won't be stressed out, you know. Or job hop so your physical health will be better too, you know. Like say if you worked at a labor job that is too strenuous on your body, you job hop and you work another job that's not as hard on your body, you know, or things like that. I think being loyal to the company isn't always the best thing, you know. You have to really promise this company to say, give you what you want, you know. I don't think it's like the fucking 60s anymore. I don't think it's like the 70s or 50s, 80s even. Because it's different now, you know? I guess the only problem is if you don't have as much stuff on your resume, most jobs will kind of look the same, but it's still good to job hop, though, for other reasons besides the pay, you know? If you feel worse or shit like that, right? Yeah, you just gotta play it smart, I guess. Yeah, I guess it was easier for me to job hop and quit jobs. I was living rent free with my dad, and I had a hard time working in my 20s because of my mental health, and I just couldn't keep a job, you know. My bipolar was just out of control. I always had the urge to quit jobs, you know. Some of it was because of my mental. Sometimes it was because my bipolar is out of it. And then there was jobs I quit because it was toxic. It wasn't good for me, the coworkers and all that. And then it was just the job, you know. It was just hard to stay because it was too stressful, you know. And then it would exacerbate my moods, you know. So it was easier for me to do that type of shit when I lived with my dad, you know. If I was living on my own, I would have to be strategic more and job hop and be making sure I find it, and then I'll start working there when I get a paycheck, you know. Kind of like what I did with this one, but I kind of was a little risky with this one, you know. I just didn't want to risk an episode for myself. So I know how that goes with me. Yeah, you just have more opportunities if you job hop, you know? That's why it's good to look at Indeed like every week, you know, like once a week or something. See if there's something better. See if there's a job that pays more. See if there's a job that is less strenuous on your body or mind, you know? I guess the only problem is, like, you never know about the work environment. It could be more toxic, possibly, but that's the risk you'll take, you know? It's risk-taking, but I think it's worth it, you know? I think it's worth job hopping, no matter where you're at. If you're an entry-level worker, you're a high-skilled worker, it's always good to job hop, you know? I don't think it's good to be loyal to companies. And There's a lot of them that just don't, they say the shit and then they don't get put in the action, right? So only do that when they put in the action and they give you a good living, they give you good benefits and stuff, you know, right? Always do something better for yourself. Always trying to find the best quality of life as possible for you. Better paying job. Better job that you could tolerate in a workplace. Because obviously, you can't run away from toxic work environments, but if there's one you could tolerate, take it, you know? One that's less strenuous on your body, you know? Always want something better for you. Never really focus on the company, you know? That's what I think for people that want to do better, you know? I think it's best to job hop in a strategic way, you know? Well, I'll catch you guys later. I forgot to say some other things with this video, but yeah, you want to job hop and get a quality job that pays the bills so you can save money. So you have a work-life balance. You want to try to get just the best job as possible, you know? And every job's not perfect, obviously, but you want to get more things out of you than the company, you know? Better benefits. So you have more pay time off or something. You have a good 401k or whatever it is, or say good promotions, you know, you're promised, right? Because the better job, the better your life will be, you know? You could pay your rent, you could pay your mortgage, you can save money to go on vacation, or you can save money to get better qualifications, you know, so you can even get a better job with that, you know? All those things. But that's it.